Samuel, creator of Designating My Toilet, my comic book series. I'm an independent creator, and this is Duty, and this is also Duty. And today, basically, I'm sharing a lot of the lessons that I learned over the years. I was very fortunate enough to be able to attend an exhibit at the Licensing Expo once in, I believe, in 08, and the other time in last year. And what I've learned throughout the years have helped me save a lot of money and myself from a lot of heartache. And I relied on, look, everybody wants to have toys. I mean, I want to have toys. I mean, I have prototypes. I have a plush prototype for my character, and I also have this is a latex model of Duty. But what I've learned is that just because you as the creator or me really like a specific design or look for a character, it may not be market relevant, or the consumer might not like it. So it's important that if you're going to invest in your own toys, especially when you're self-funding, to not go and spend all your money, to go and get prototypes. And what's interesting is that prototyping years ago was a lot more expensive than it are now. You can actually get 3D designs, 3D printed figures for a lot less money today than you were back then, when you had to hire a sculptor. Like this one, I hired it was a company called Mass Masters. It was actually an individual who created these dolls out of latex. And I had maybe 10 prototypes done of this character. And I sold a couple years ago, but I have the rest. And the reason why I decided to go that route and not go into mass production is because I wanted to test the market. And that's one of the things I learned at the Licensing Expo, is you want to get a feel for what the feedback's going to be without going crazy and with money, because there's a lot of stories where people would go and invest thousands and thousands of dollars to mass produce figures. You have to get a box design, you have to get prototypes, you got to get a mold, you have to do it. There's a lot of steps involved. You have to find a manufacturer, and it costs like a down payment on a house. And when you're self-funded and you have a full-time job and you're using your own money to try to invest in your own product, it's a risky investment, because it doesn't guarantee that people are going to want what you are so excited about. And so, I want my own plush toys. So I hired a company to give me 2 prototypes of this, right? And I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. But this gives me an opportunity, several reasons, right? So it gives me several reasons to go out and showcase the product. So where would I go? There's the Toy Expo, there's the Licensing Expo, right? There's a lot of venues where you can go and get a feel. There's Comic Cons, there's conventions, there's art exhibits, where you can just go and allow the consumer to tell you what they want or what they're attracted to without you going crazy. So I have several. So years ago, I did this prototype I had done in about 05, 06, and I've held on to it for years. And I've created a lot of different things for this. Like back then I created my own box, which is really basically just a plastic box that I custom made my own inner wrappings or designs to try to showcase it at conventions. And I found that this character itself and this specific mold and this look was very appealing to people. I just didn't have the funds to mass produce, and it was a one-man operation at that time. So for me to go and make that investment, my second option would be find an investor. So over the years, we fast forward to when I decided to come back into comics. I wanted my own plush. So I had this designed, and it took about 3 months from sending over the concept illustration to receiving the final product. Now, I love this, but if I was to go and mass produce this, I would want the head to be a little bigger, the eyes to be a little bigger for this plush. But the plush is really nice, it's really awesome. But this gives me an option to be able to show what would Duty look like if he was a toy, or what would Duty look if he was a plush. On top of that, I decided to do some resins of Duty as Army Duty, right? As a soldier, because he plays a soldier in one of the comic books. So this also gave me an option to showcase that look without spending a lot of money. And I did the same thing with Duty as a samurai and Duty as a superhero. And what you're going to find is when you go and you present your stuff to a lot of different executives or buyers, you know, they're going to look at commerciality, and they're going to see if it's viable. They want to see who the customer is and whether it's appealing. So I want to have a lot of options of my character. So my goal is by next year to have at least over a dozen figurines, all different, of Duty, to be able to, because I want to go to the toy show, and to be able to go and present Duty as a toy line and then see what the feedback is. And then there's a reason why focus groups are so important, because you're going to get real-time feedback from them. So how much does it cost to do, if you want to mass produce? You have to hire an artist or a toy designer, right? So they're going to charge you for coming up with the initial look, right? And they're going to create a 3D generated, computer generated figure. They charge you for that. Then they're going to charge you for the prototype, and then they're going to charge you for the mold. Then you have to pay for mass production. You're talking about anywhere between a minimum $10,000 to $20,000 based on how many units you want to make. So just for the prototype and the mold, you're going to pay a few $1,000s. For me, I didn't even break $1,000 to do the plush. I don't remember how much this cost me, but I think when I did this back, I was able to negotiate it, and it was under $1,000 for 10 prototype figures. And then for the 3D printed generated items, you know, when all three combined, it's probably about $1,500, because the Soldier Duty, I produced 15 of them, and then I had the other 2 figures. So this allows me to not go crazy, but have samples to be able to present. So here's my characters, and as you can see, I was really pleased with this one here. This is my first actual prototype of Duty, my latex. I've had this since 2005-6. And I really love this one, and it's really one that also captivated the initial look of my designs for Disneyland, my toilet, and for Duty. And then this was the initial box that I referred to earlier. So this was simple. I ordered a large format plastic box, a container. I designed some interior images. You know, I wasn't a pro. I was learning. I was new to comics. I was new to toys. And so I got some popcorn stuffing, and I put my graphic novel in there, and this was a package deal. And I sold this at the Big Apple Comic Con. I've had some really loyal fans, but this is my first attempt at trying to create a sample prototype to be able to pitch to companies and show them the, I guess, marketability or the viable commercial aspect of the toy. So, and then over the years, things changed, right? So another one of the things that I had on was the bust. So this I used as a prop, where the head was actually coming out of a toilet, and it was a prop on my table, and it had fingers on the toilet bowl, and it's been with me, and it's just a mess. It's hollow in the center. I love the shape, I love the format, and you can see, you know, again, the guy who created this, designed it, designs masks. So that was the initial contract that I signed with him. So this was now. So as I was getting ready for Licensing Expo last year, this was the prototype box that I created for Licensing Expo. As you can see, it's a lot more polished, professionally done, all sides. This is custom. I had 2 boxes made custom wise, and basically has the dimensions of the characters, the whole bit, and it also has a disclaimer, not to play with. It's a collectible. It's not a toy. But this was just so that way. And on the box it says prototype doll. But again, this was specific for the show. The actual character fits right in there, even with bubble wrap and stuffing, and it fit perfectly. And it was my way of being able to take it on display and show them what it would look like. And then we graduated to resin, and this was the first resin that I had produced of duty as a soldier. I loved exactly the way it came out. It looked exactly like my illustration, and if you picked up my book, you'll know. And I think this was from issue number 3 or 4. But yeah, I absolutely love this one. It was one of my favorites. And then, you know, Duty is a superhero in Duty's Adventures. And so here was a prototype that I had made of Super Duty. This came out fantastic. I love the belly. I love the fact that you can see his body through the cape. It just seems like he's come to life. And again, it's being able to show all aspects of the figure. You know, would you want to play with this if this was a toy? Would you want it on your bookshelf or in your showcase in your collector's room if you were a toy collector? Those are the questions that need to be answered. And I mean, I actually absolutely love this. And now it's just a matter of seeing whether or not the feedback out there is the same. And here is Samurai Duty. So this is the other one I told you about. And again, I'm working on a samurai story. It's a 4-part miniseries with Duty. And so I wanted a prototype to represent that. And this was actually one of the first initial designs of Duty as a samurai that I illustrated years ago. And again, I don't have any complaints about this other than the fact that it's a little thin on the body, but it came out really, really nice. And I really enjoyed this tremendously. And then the plush. So the plush, I've always wanted a plush. When I got this, when I opened up the box, I was so excited. I was like a kid in the candy store. I mean, it's soft and cuddly. It has the belt with the holster where you can put M&Ms if you're a kid, or put your marbles or your Legos in there. He has his yellow tie. I gotta fix his tie. But he has his yellow tie. You know, if you read the book, you know he gets the tie when he's in the bathroom trying to find a disguise. And everything about it just works for me. Again, if I went to full production, I would like a bigger head, because Duty does have a big head. But again, I have no complaints outside of that. But it's a great way to be able to see what the toy would look like. And I think that's the biggest thing, right? You want to be able to present your stuff. We all want toy lines, but I think what I learned is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just because I like this and I love this design right here doesn't mean you're gonna like it. Doesn't mean the audience is gonna like it. That, you know, so you want to tread carefully, because it's an expensive endeavor, and no one wants to fail, right? So do your homework, do your research, get a focus group, create some designs, right? So one of the things I do, I have illustrations of the characters, and then I'll show it. You know, if this was a toy, would you buy it? Would you be interested in it? If this was a toy, and then have a few designs and have a focus group and try to get some feedback. And then, you know, come up with mock-ups. You know, the inexpensive thing is to get 3D generated mock-ups, computer generated mock-ups. So if you can get, you know, hire somebody just to create 3D generated mock-ups of your figures, you're one step ahead of the game, because now you'll have a dozen items that you can showcase on your website and your social media, and you can get people to vote. If this was a toy, would you buy it? You know, which one would interest you the most? And see which one ranks to the highest, right? And then take that information and then pick that one and then go out and do it. Now remember, it doesn't stop there. You know, you have to create the figure, but also you have to get a box, a custom-made box. That costs. There's a cost associated with that. So all these things are going to add up. So when you're an independent, when you're self-funding, take your time, don't rush, make smart investments, because you know, you can get stuck with all this inventory that you can't move. You know, who wants to have in your garage or in your basement, you know, hundreds of figures that you thought was going to sell, but you couldn't get it to move at all, and you've taken a huge loss, and it's a big risk, $15,000-$20,000. That's not something to play around with. And so for me, prototyping is the way to go. It's helping me just to see what it would look like if it was market ready, and then get some feedback from it. I do want to preface the fact that you don't need to actually have an exhibit booth or exhibit at these venues. It does help, because one thing that happens, so here's the pros and cons. The pro of actually having a booth at an event like the Licensing Expo is that the Licensing Expo gives you access to the database. You get all the contact information for every acquisitions leader, every buyer, every department head that you need to talk to, the who's who in the industry that's attending these events. You'll have access to that database, and you'll be able to send them invites to come to your booth and set up appointments. They give you access to these tools that are fantastic. So with the cost of it, you'll get that benefit. The con is it's expensive, so it does cost a pretty penny. You know, buying a space there only covers the space. It doesn't cover the tables, the walls, and all that other stuff. That's an additional fee. If you want electricity, that's an additional fee. Wi-Fi, that's an additional fee. Then you have to ship your stuff there, and you have to get the props and the dimensions and all that other stuff. So those are all added costs. But the information that you collect is invaluable, and you can take that with you wherever you go, and you can use it for long-term communications. And that's what I found to be the most beneficial. You know, we made a lot of contacts there, and I say we because a buddy of mine, Paul, went with me there, and he was just amazing. To have a wingman at an event that's this big and that's this important, it goes a long way. So that's another thing. Make sure you go with somebody. But on the flip side, you don't need to go with and have a booth. You can actually have a catalog or a press kit and have samples in your book bags. Get yourself a pass to the event, go there, and try to do walk-ins, or even try to be proactive and find out who's going to attend and connect with them early on and set up appointments. Maybe take them for coffee, maybe take them for lunch. And you can bring your samples with you, have them in a backpack or in a briefcase, and have a media kit, something that you can leave them behind that has images and information that they can refer to on the plane or at the hotel when they head back. So that's the cost-effective way of doing it. You don't have to break the bank and do what I did, because it is risky. The great thing about it, there was a lot of interest in the product, and there's also a lot of long-term contacts that was made from it. So I looked at the long game, not the short game. Initially, it was costly. But again, here's an opportunity for you to try something that's going to work for you. But if you want to get into the toy game or the licensing game, consider doing this, and there you have both options to go with. Well, that was my 2 cents on prototyping and creating toys, and we all want to do it. I know I do. I would love to see Judy on the shelves. I would love to see kids running around in the parks, if they still do that today. I know in my time they did. Play with my figures, and but I also want to be smart about it, because I do have a home and a family, and I work full time. So, but we can always dream, right? So these are my characters. At the end of the day, if nothing else, I actually got to see one of my dreams fulfilled, Duty as a figure, multiple ways, right? I got a plush Duty, I got a Duty as a figure, and I have a bunch of other Duty products that I've been just for self-fulfillment. And the dream starts with the effort and what you put into it, and no one says you can't. Let's just be smart about how you do it. I think that's what I've learned throughout the years. I've made a lot of bad investments, and I've made some good ones, but the Licensing International Expo taught me about business. It really taught me how the industry changes constantly, and you have to change with it. Don't make any assumptions. The toy industry has changed, the media industry has changed, the comic industry has changed, and we got to be able to change with it. And while we all think that what we have is the next best thing, the market might not say the same thing. So test the market, get feedback, go out there, don't take unnecessary risks, and take it one day at a time. Don't put a clock on it. Just put your best foot forward. Put the effort in, hard work, dedication, and and the universe will answer one day. It's not basically when you want it to answer, but it'll happen. So that's this episode. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, like, share. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Put in the comments below. And thank you for watching The Art of Samuel. This is Duty for Uranus, signing off.